Here today to talk to us today about happiness. Please welcome Brent Britton.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. When I first left the Media Lab and went to law school, I was getting used to the possibility and the inevitability of saying, well, at least I was the first. I was the first graduate of the MIT Media Lab to become a lawyer. But now, after 15 years, I'm still the only graduate of the Media Lab to become a lawyer, so that says something odd about me or lawyers or the Media Lab or what have you. Topic today is Ideas to Money, a New Business Paradigm. And I've practiced this once or twice, but I don't really know what my slides say, so I'm going to enjoy this just as much as you do. This is a story about boots. Boots make me happy. Boots make my wife happy. I enjoy it when my wife is happy. My wife being happy makes me happy. My wife in boots makes me happy. We'll get back to the boots later. This is the basic idea. Business is about focusing on wealth maximization. That's okay. That's capitalism. Greed is good. Wealth maximization is good. I don't know anyone who would disagree with that in this country. I claim, however, that targeting wealth maximization is not the fastest way to maximize wealth, but instead, targeting happiness is the fastest and best way to maximize wealth. Let's explore. I give lots of presentations about business, how to be an entrepreneur, how to start a business, how to get intellectual property, how to sell it and turn it into money. That's really what business is all about. Classically, it's the two endpoints of business are ideas and money. Take an idea from your head, turn it into stuff that you can sell, and thereby grow wealthy. And indeed, since the mid-16th century, when John Calvin decided that the Bible didn't prevent interest, and it was okay to make money and become wealthy, and thereby created what became modern capitalism, it's been the very goal of business to maximize wealth. Indeed, to maximize shareholder wealth. That's the payback for investing in a company, is that we turn your investment into more money. And that's what we do in the United States. That's what the capital markets are all about. It's maximizing shareholder wealth. Unfortunately, this leads to significant attention to the analysis of whether you've created enough wealth or not. And your company is judged on a quarterly basis by folks whose job it is to analyze your performance and decide whether you've made your numbers. And this leads to lots of unhappiness, because when you obsess about your quarterly numbers, all you pay attention to are your numbers. And so you do things like stop investing in innovation. You don't take any more risks out of the fear of losing money and missing quarterly analyst expectations. It encourages short-term thinking. It leads to cost-cutting and firing and downsizing and lots of unhappy results. It's susceptible to fraud and legerdemain, and we've all heard of cooking the books, and we take so-called lumpy numbers and smooth them out for the analysts so that they look good at the end of the quarter. And of course, it is shot through with fraud. It is not uncommon for the folks who are analyzing your company to be the beneficiary of gifts that you will give them from time to time, in job recommendations and that sort of thing. In fact, there was an article in last week's Economist revealing that very issue. So paying attention to quarterly earnings, paying attention to analyst expectations is indeed solving the wrong problem. Where's my clock? Hi, thank you. Here's an example of solving the wrong problem. This woman, a Bullitt Avenue resident in Roanoke, Virginia, worries about the effect on her unborn child from the sound of jackhammers, not from the cigarette in her right hand. I submit to you that this unnamed woman, or she's named in the article, but I refuse to put her name on the screen, is solving the wrong problem. Or she's solving the right problem, but she's solving it in the wrong way. We don't want to do that. So what's the right way to maximize wealth? The right way to maximize wealth is to make your customers look like that woman. To make everyone else in the world look like that woman. If you can make me that happy, then you're going to be wealthier than you were yesterday. Human happiness is strongly influenced by the things businesses do. Businesses exist in society. They're granted the right to exist by the rest of us. We all get together and say, you can be a company. You can exist as a separate legal person in society. But we don't demand anything, really. We don't demand good corporate citizenship out of our companies for the most part. We have laws that apply to them. We say, don't pollute, don't waste, don't hurt people. But for the most part, they don't have any obligation to be good citizens. And frankly, neither do we. But maybe our expectations should be higher for companies. After all, they don't have any natural right to exist like you and I do. We create them. If you don't believe that human happiness can be affected by the things that companies do, I submit to you an experiment that was conducted at Baylor School of Medicine in 2004, where they showed a bunch of people the blind Pepsi challenge, where you drink a sip of Coke and you drink a sip of Pepsi, and you tell the person conducting the experiment which one you like better. And they cover the labels. And when you don't know what you're drinking, 50% of you say you prefer Coke, and 50% of you say you prefer Pepsi. And when you do know what you're drinking, when you take the labels off so you can see what the labels are, when you do know what you're drinking, 75% of you say you prefer Coke, and 25% of you say you prefer Pepsi. What does that mean? That means 25% of you are lying out of brand loyalty to Coke. Because when you know you're drinking Coke, you say you like it better. But it turns out that they put fMRI scanners on the heads of the people that were taking this test, and they noticed an unusually large amount of activity in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that deals with pleasure and society and the approval of our peers. It turns out that they weren't lying when they said they prefer Coke. They actually enjoyed it better. That's the power of the brand. When they knew they were drinking Coke, they actually physiologically enjoyed it better. That's the responsibility that a brand has in society to make you happy. And it hits you right in the wetware. There's a company called Google whose motto is "Don't be evil." Perhaps you've heard of it. This is a statement from their S-1 filing, which is the document you file with the SEC when you want to go public in this country. They said, we are going to do good things for the world, even if we forego some short-term gains. We're going to take lots of risks. Do you think that's worked out well for them? Their closing price yesterday was $536 a share. They have a market capitalization of $170 billion. I would say not being evil is a relatively good way towards incredible wealth. There's another company called Zappos. Zappos' mission is delivering happiness to its customers and to its employees. It is not selling shoes. It is not creating wealth. It is creating and delivering happiness. That is its mission. That is the way Zappos lives from top to bottom. The culture at Zappos is completely transparent and completely authentic. Rich, if you went to Zappos to go interview the people there, they would walk you into the company, they would give you the tour, they would show you where they do business, then they would leave you and they would say, that's the men's room, that's where the Cokes and the Pepsis are, enjoy yourself. And you as a reporter could walk about that company and talk to anybody you wanted to. That's the authenticity that Zappos practices. They were bought by Amazon this past July for $1.2 billion. Now, that's not $170 billion, but you know, a billion here, a billion there, after a while it turns into real money. The CEO of Zappos, Tony Hsieh, says that people are happiest when they're following a vision with a sense of purpose. And that's what he gives the people that work in that company, and that's what he tries to give to his customers. When you call Zappos and talk to somebody in customer service, they're not reading from a script. They're not in Bangladesh. Not that there's anything wrong with any of those things. But they're a human being who is empowered to serve you in any way they see fit. They're a human being who's empowered to deliver happiness unto you. This is a Gauguin painting which hangs in the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. Who are we? Where do we come from? What are we? And where are we going? And I submit to you this nicely encapsulate the human condition. If you have a chance when you go to Boston, go to the Museum of Fine Arts and just contemplate this photograph, and you will recognize before too long that we are nothing but the slime that grows on a rock in space, that you are nothing but the highly organized matrix of stuff that came out of a star and turned into a thinking being, and that we are capable of the sacred and the profane, and loving the sacred and hating the profane, and we're capable of deciding what's sacred and what's profane. And when you reflect upon the human condition, ultimately you begin to realize, I think, that the only sin in life is to increase the suffering in the world. And that we're all here, ultimately, on a mission of at least being happy and possibly making others happy as well. If you ask people what makes them happy, and I borrowed this slide from Tony Hsieh, by the way, if you ask people what makes them happy, you'll get an answer. What do you want in life, is the question. What do you want in life? What are you trying to achieve? You'll get an answer. And then you ask them, why do you want that? And you'll get another answer. And then you ask them why they want that, and you'll get another answer. And ultimately, all roads point to the same answer, because ultimately, we all just want to be happy. So why not make that the goal? Why go through all the other mess? Why not just deliver happiness? What is happiness? Do you know that if you smile in your high school yearbook, you have a much lesser chance of ever getting divorced? This is true. From Motivation and Emotion last year. Folks who do not smile in their high school yearbook have an unusually high chance of getting divorced. Some people are just unhappy. It's part of the human condition. Some people are happier than others. Sometimes there's nothing you can do to increase the happiness in the world, or you're a little part of it. This is a study from the Harvard Business Review in 2007, a fairly seminal paper on customer lifetime value crossed with customer referral value. What does this mean? There are lots of fancy equations in this article, but what it comes down to is if you can make your customers buy lots of stuff, that's good. If you can make them refer lots of business to you, that's good too. And when you cross those two things, you'll have a 4x4 matrix wherein you have champions, affluents, advocates, and misers, folks who do more or less of these two things, buy lots from you and refer other people to you. And you can offer them incentives to upgrade their class. You can encourage them, give them discounts for buying things, give them discounts for encouraging other people to you. What the article doesn't take into consideration is terribly much about what negative reviews do to your company, and that's an entirely different category of discussion. But for the most part, if you encourage your customers to be happy with you, they will tell it from the rooftops. They will sing it from the mountaintops. They will spread the love about how good you are. Here's one way to make your customers happy. This is true. Cows with names give more milk. Roughly 6% more milk than cows who are identified only by a number on an ear tag. This is from Anthrozoos last year. And this is actually true. So what does this say? This says that as a thinking, breathing, marginally sentient, living organism, it is nicer to be treated well than to be treated like a number. That the farmers who care enough about their cows to give them names are likely to act in many different ways that are likely to create a happier experience for the cow than those cows that are identified by ear tags with numbers. So name your cows. Treat them like they want to be treated. Human beings are a function of expectation and environment. And if you treat them with respect, they will respond with respect. My wife wanted a pair of boots, and she couldn't find them, and she was unhappy. And it was Friday evening at 5 p.m. It was Friday evening at 5 p.m. And we discovered Zappos.com. And those boots were on her feet Saturday by lunchtime. She will never buy shoes anywhere else. She is an extremely happy customer. That's the kind of customer you want. Make your customers happy, and you will enjoy great wealth. Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you, sir.